Good evening, my loyal subjects, and welcome to another episode of Double Dose. I'm your host, Irisu Lutrium, but you can call me Lutrium. And today, we are covering Magic cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, though with a little bit of a twist. I'm joined today by Chance Nezumi, a rat VTuber who plays a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! However, I'm not that big into Yu-Gi-Oh myself. We thought it would be a great idea to present 5 cards from our respective games and see if we can guess how powerful they are. We ended up taking around 4 hours to do this, so we will be splitting up this video into multiple parts. If this first video interests you, please let me know, and I will do my best to upload the others and curtail them to meet your needs. Regardless, this was a lot of fun to do, and if you want to see more of this, please leave a like on the video or subscribe. And if you're following on Spotify, hit that follow button and like it as well. Rate it a 5 out of 5, just for me, please. As always, I will see you next time. Goodbye now. Greetings, my loyal subjects, and welcome to another episode of Double Dose. Today, I am joined by Chance Nezumi, not VT, just Chance, as we discuss. Well, yes, hello, Chance. We will be discussing Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Magic cards. However, we're going to be guessing how powerful these cards are based outside of our area of expertise. So I'm the Magic player, Chance is the Yu-Gi-Oh player. We have some knowledge back and forth, like we can look at some of these cards and be like, yeah, like I get that's a card advantage thing, and that basic stuff. But otherwise, mechanically, the deep interwoven mechanics of these games we don't really get for the opposite, so should be fun. Regardless, today's guest, Chance, you can find them over on twitch.tv/Chance Nezumi. Chance, why don't you introduce yourself for the audience today and what you do?
Hello everybody, I'm Chance Nezumi, the corrupted magical rat wizard. Generally speaking, I just play games. I do other stuff sometimes, but that's usually what I'm doing over there.
Chance is a gamer.
Yeah, I'm a gamer foremost. Something else, yeah. I do like art stuff too occasionally, but usually it's games. I play games both good and bad, and I'm both good and bad at them.
The last episode of your Fallout New Vegas run, your last stream, I should say, the cursed stream.
It's so fucked up. It's not fair.
Yeah, but regardless, today we're in a safe space. There's no streaming. We're just recording, unless the recording fucks up. So
totally won't have to do another take. Smile.
Yeah, hopefully not. All right, so how we're gonna do this? I think we're gonna do 5 of my cards and then 5 of your cards, and we'll just alternate back and forth, and we'll discuss each one. Got about 40 total cards for us today, so feel free to tune on in. Let's read this first card here.
So this is Hole Breacher. It costs 2 blue mana, right? That's what they're called.
Yep. Well, it's actually specifically 2 mana of any color, and then a required blue, so a total of 3.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's like, if it's like a number that's just like colorless on that, it's that, right?
Yep, that's referred to as generic mana.
Okay. And there's a creature, which is just the type of card it is, and then Merfolk Pirate, and that's like close to like how archetype stuff works.
Yeah, it's their tribe, basically.
So Flash, I don't know what that means. I've never seen that keyword.
Don't worry, you could read the rest of the card, and we'll go through, and I'll tell you the abilities.
Gotcha. If an opponent would draw a card except for the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead you create a treasure token. It's an artifact with U-turn sacrifice.
That's the tap symbol, so you gotta tap it.
Okay. It's an artifact with a tap. Sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. I don't need and then that's the flavor text.
Yep.
So wait, are you creating the token on your side?
Yes. So basically what this card does is Flash in Magic means that any time that you could play an instant, so a spell that could interrupt another spell, or
Yeah.
interrupt a changing of a phase, you can play that card. So you can flash in Hull Breacher basically at any point.
Oh, so it's like a quick play in Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's also like on a monster.
Yep, yep.
Okay, so it's just like a
And
quick side.
yeah, you do need to have a trigger. Like you need something that you can trigger off of, or the phase has to change in order for you to.
Okay, that's similar to how Yu-Gi-Oh works.
The second effect is on your side of the field, and it counts
Okay.
for everybody except for you. So it's all of your opponents.
And the parentheses text is what that token has as its
Yeah,
effect.
that is the treasure token in a nutshell.
I feel like do we want to do like a rating system?
Yeah, we'll do a 1 to 10. We'll get the power. By the way, this is for Commander specifically. For everybody watching at home, this is for the Commander as a gameplay style. So
Okay, so I feel like because this guy seems kind of generic in terms of like he can be used in multiple things, I feel like this card would be like an 8 out of 10, strictly because one, it's not necessarily hard to get him out, and two, the token's effect works with literally every deck, and he doesn't have like piss poor defensive / offensive stats. So I feel like, yeah, he's like an 8 out of 10. He's not like the best thing ever, but he seems pretty damn good.
you're locking it in?
Yeah.
All right, Chance, you said 8 out of 10. We're going to go take this a step beyond. This card is banned in Commander.
It's banned? Okay.
It is banned.
Why do
So
I feel like it's... I feel like it's because it... I should have probably considered the fact that it negs a draw past the draw phase. You get advantage by stopping your opponent from getting advantage, which I feel like is in a probably.
So in Commander is a 4-player format, and
Really?
yeah.
Just do 2 people. Okay, that's kind of cool.
You can
Wait,
play.
Does this count for every person on the field?
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay, I see how this is insane.
So there's a card. It's called Windfall. It costs the same as Hull Breacher. It's a sorcery though, so everyone can see it coming, and it has to be on your turn, of course. Windfall states everybody discards their hand, and then you draw a number of cards equal to the most cards discarded this way.
And this guy can flash summon and neg all the draws.
Yeah, so you play this early on. Let's say someone has 7 cards in their hand. Everybody discards their hand, and then you flash in Hull Breacher. Everyone's drawing 7, but instead of drawing, you make 21 treasure tokens. So you get 21 mana.
Does I don't know, like, does Magic have like a once per turn clause on stuff, or is it just
No?
If it can be met, you can do it?
If it can be met with mana, it can be done. But
to
keep that in mind, though, in Commander, you can only have one of each named card, except for lands.
Yeah.
So you can only have one Hull Breacher, you can only have one Windfall, but there are more than just like the Windfall's effect. This card is banned for one reason, and that it's not fun, and 2, if you had a blue deck, if any deck had blue in it, you just ran this card. It was guaranteed. You auto win with this card, basically.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because imagine you play Windfall, you play Hull Breacher, so you're down to 5 cards in hand. You have 7, let's just say. Then you discard your hand, draw 7, and net 21 mana that you could do anything with if you want to.
That's insane. Yeah, I can see that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm going to consider the fact that things aren't once per turn in Magic.
Yeah, that's something that's a little weird to learn, but yeah. Are you ready for the second one?
Yep.
All right.
Chains of Mephistopheles. I think that's how you say his name, right?
Yep. Or Mephistopheles if you watch, what is it, Blue Exorcist?
Yeah. This card looks old as shit, by the way.
It is very old.
Wait, I feel like I know this card. I feel like we've talked about it once. So it's 1 generic mana and 1 black mana, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bro's ugly as hell. It's an enchantment, so it's enchantments are like the cards that you like buff your other cards with, right?
Enchantments are the equivalent of field spells.
Oh, okay, yeah. I
But
see.
just keeping in mind that there are no limits to how many enchantments you can have on the field.
I think, if memory serves, this card is banned because I'll read the description first. Every time a player draws a card, that player must first discard a card from his or her hand. If there are no cards in player's hand, take the top card from the library. The library is the deck, right?
Yep.
And place it in the graveyard instead of drawing. This enchantment does not apply to the first card drawn by the player during their draw phase. I'm almost certain this card is banned because there's a way to just make it to where your opponent can't play the game, right?
Yes, but it isn't banned.
How is this not banned?
The thing that really determines a card's banned state in Commander is how, a bunch of different factors. The first of which is the price.
This card's like $3,000, isn't it?
It's not quite $3,000. It's actually $700.
That's still way too fucking much for one card.
Yeah, this card was never reprinted, so it's very rare to have. So the chances that everybody will run it is very low, and that means that it's not worth a ban, despite how impressive it is.
I'm guessing it's like a 10 out of 10 then, though?
It's definitely, and from what I've heard with the decks that it combos with, it's like 9, but almost guaranteed 10 for locking people out of playing the game.
Yeah, okay. So it's a weird floodgate.
Yeah, you would have to combo this with something in your deck that allows you to play outside of your hand or outside of the draw. And there are effects. Yeah, there are effects that discard cards, and as a part of discarding the card, you can play that card instead.
Yeah, I remember, I think Bandit showed me, there's this weird deck that your whole gimmick is milling every single card in your deck to OTK.
Yeah, this card is wild, and it's considered to be one of the most feel bad cards that you can play in the game.
This card, I feel like you showed me this a long time ago, or Bandit showed it to me during one of the Magic streams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was just dumbfounded how a card like this exists and isn't banned.
But you got it pretty much nailed down. You got the basic power of this. Alone, to be fair, by itself, this card isn't extremely strong. It's not Hull Breacher broken. But with the right combination. Yeah, by itself, it doesn't do its own thing. It's annoying and more than likely will get removed the second it's on the field. So
I feel like if this card got a reprint, it would get banned.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Which is probably why they'll never reprint this card.
Yeah, I don't. That's one thing I'm just gonna talk about card games in general.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a card's market price should never affect whether it gets banned or not. It should, if it's a busted card, it should just be gone. And a card like this is not fun in concept or in gameplay probably. It should just be gone. I don't give a fuck if it's $700.
So Commander is not a format that Wizards of the Coast made. Commander is made by players of the game, and
so it's based on market value.
Yeah, they made a committee. They have a committee that is player based, and they vote on if a card should be banned or not. And the committee has decided that this is not a bannable card. So yeah,
you'll take the market price. I won't be able to sell my $700 card.
All right, are you ready for the next one?
Yes. Is that a baddie?
It is a baddie.
Triumph of the Hordes. 2 generic, 2... Is it forest?
Green. Yeah, so you refer to the color itself. I know it's weird.
So it's a sorcery, so that means it's a spell. Until the end of the turn. Why is it worded like that? Until end of turn.
It's just the shortest way to deliver that line.
Creatures you control get +1/1 and gain trample and infect. Okay, so trample's the thing to where when you hit something, you do your damage bypasses it, right?
If you have more attack, basically the left number, than the right number, which is the toughness, then you will meet the toughness, and then whatever you did over that will hit the player instead.
Okay, so it's like piercing damage in Yu-Gi-Oh. What is infect though? Is it like a token system or something?
So, with that text down there at the bottom, creatures with infect deal damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters, and to players in the form of poison counters.
Okay.
So, for example, if a creature is a 2/2 and it attacks a creature that is a 1/1, that 1/1, actually, no, sorry, we'll say it's like a 3/3, for example. So the creature attacking dies, right, because it's weak. But it will turn the 3/3 into a 1/1 because you apply those 2 counters to it.
I see.
Alternatively, if you deal 10 poison counters worth of damage to a player, they lose the game.
Why do I feel like this plus like, you know, rats? How they do like the stack of card thing? Why do I feel like this plus rats would just instantly kill somebody?
It is a pretty solid card in that regard, yes.
So let me think about this. So it's a sorcery. It's until the end of the turn. I feel like I feel like this card isn't banned because it's not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't use this. You cannot use this. I feel like this is like a 7, but there's probably some stupid dumb OTK that you can do with it. But I feel like it's not crazy.
So you're locking in a 7?
Yeah, like around there.
In green as a color, this card is a staple for decks that want to go wide, so you want as many creatures on the field as possible, and you want to attack over anything that your opponents have. Because all you have to deal is 10 total infect to win the game against an opponent. By the way, in Magic, in Commander, all of the players get 40 life total. So it doesn't matter how much life they have.
You'll kill them eventually.
Yeah. By the way, when you deal damage and infect to a player, they take 0 damage. They just take the poison counters instead.
Oh, okay. So it's like you basically just have to hit over 10 guys.
Basically, yes. So this is a staple card, but your power rating of it is like, it is pretty spot on. This is like almost a must take if you want to take that strategy.
But it's not like a mandatory strategy.
It's not mandatory. There is another card. It's called Overwhelming Stampede. It is exactly the same as this almost, but it costs 3 generic and a green. And it reads, creatures you control until end of turn gain trample, and they get +X/+X, where X equals the highest power and toughness of the creature that you control.
That's just death. That's a kill.
If you have a 10/10, all of your creatures get +10/+10 and trample.
That just kills the guy, right?
Yep, it is another, like, if you were to do a deck similar to building around Triumph of the Hordes, you would throw that card in as well as like it does the same thing, but you're not going for the infect win. Are you ready for the next one?
Yep, Stitcher's Supplier. It's 1 black. It's a creature, it's a zombie. When Stitcher's Supplier is into the battlefield or dies, put the top 3 cards of your library into the graveyard. Okay, it's cheap. It's obviously for self-mill based strategies. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna assume this card just reads mill 6 based on the way that's worded.
You would be correct in that assumption.
Okay, so I don't feel like this. I feel like this card's a 10 out of 10. I don't think it's banned because it's only for black decks probably, or generally speaking, unless there's some insane fucking generic cards that work with this. But
power wise, you're a little off. This isn't like a card that is a must take, especially in a mill deck. You don't necessarily need this for self mill, but this is like considered by a lot of people to be the best self-mill card because it's basically free. It doesn't matter if you immediately sacrifice it because you can hold it up as a blocker, and it will give you the same results, and it kind of makes opponents think twice about swinging into you. In a deck that does include black and a resurrection or recursion strategy to get cards back into your hand or back in the field, this card is definitely very strong. Not banned. Okay. Definitely so not banned.
It's like in a general mill strategy, she's probably like a 7 or an 8. But in a black based mill strategy, she's like a 10 out of 10.
I'd actually say she's closer to a 5 or a 6.
generically, or
Yeah,
like
generically
okay,
by herself, she's like a 5 or a 6. But I don't think there are any cards that are this cheap that mill you this much, or at
yeah,
least
because
this fast.
it's 6 unless they stop it from resolving. I'm probably there's probably a way to stop people from milling their own deck, right? Like with a certain like instant or something.
So you can't stop players from milling, but what you can do is before this creature would die, unless it's sacrificed, because sacrifice is it like basically it happens instantly, it resolves instantly, and you can't interact with it.
Yeah, it's like tributing in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, you would exile this card so it can't die.
Okay, yeah, that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
But I would say if I had a full board and somebody played this card, I probably wouldn't even think twice about getting rid of it. There are cards in the game that just straight up say exile target player's graveyard. So you just remove it after they've put all the cards in there.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
So
it is a big counter.
It's like but in like the right deck, it's really good.
Mm-hmm. There's
like,
another card.
When it comes to milling in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like if you're milling your opponent, it's an annoying thing, but it's also dangerous. If you're milling yourself, that shit goes crazy sometimes. Like because there's so many cards in Yu-Gi-Oh that are like, oh hey, I want to be in the graveyard or I want to get banished. You know, it's just they're like extra places for your deck to win.
Yeah, basically. It's like your deck was never really a problem in the first place. So drawing that card isn't as important. By the way, in Commander, milling your deck or like thinning it is so important because you have a required 99-ish cards that you need to go through. So
and you need to see them.
Yeah.
Okay,
all right. And here's the last one of this first set here. This is one of my favorite cards.
This card looks so cool. What the fuck?
Uh-huh. And our first legendary creature.
So this is like legendary creatures are like they're like your commander slot, right? Or you can have them as your commander slot.
You are allowed to pick any legendary creature to be your commander.
Okay, so it's is it 10 mana?
This is a little weird, so I'll read it out for you. So this is called hybrid mana. If it's in the circle like that, you can either choose to pay the 2 or the color. So you can pay 10 mana generically, or you can pay 5 of each, well, 1 of each color, so 5 total.
Oh, okay, so it's like, okay, yeah, so you can pay 10 or pay 5 if you have 1 of each.
Yep.
Can you do like 1 of that kind and then like 2 of every other kind, or is it?
Yeah, you could pay, like, for the white there, you pay 1 white, and then you pay 8 generic mana for the rest. Although, typically, if you had that kind of mana, you'd probably only be paying, like, 2 extra in the first place. Because if this was your commander, you have access to all 5 colors that you can put into the deck.
Okay. So it's Reaper King, Scarecrow, that's like the archetype thing. Other Scarecrow creatures, yeah, the similar cards gain 1/1. Whenever another Scarecrow comes into play under your control, destroy target permanent?
Yep. So anything that's on the field, so artifact, enchantment, land, creature, those are permanents because they're permanently in play at that time. So if a Scarecrow enters the battlefield, you can pop anything. It's basically just a free targeted removal.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I get how that card text kind of works now, and that'll help me later. It's a 6/6, so this guy's pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
When it says other Scarecrow creatures, it definitely doesn't include itself, right?
Yep,
Unless you somehow had another one on the field.
If you were able to find a way to get another one that didn't remove either of them, then yes. Because I don't know if I've mentioned it yet to you, but in Magic as a whole, there's the legend rule, which just states you can't control more than 1 legendary creature that have the same name, unless otherwise specified.
I have a very specific question. In Yu-Gi-Oh, we have this where you can copy cards.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you can copy a card's name and effect in Yu-Gi-Oh with, like, certain specific cards. I don't know their names, but if I pulled it up, I can show you later. Is it possible to copy this card with another card when you summon it? So you have 2 on the field in Commander? Or would the legendary thing still override that and make you send one away?
So it would still apply, but the thing is overall you have this enter the battlefield trigger of whenever another Scarecrow comes into play, destroy target permanent. Specifically, when you summon the clone of Reaper King, both of the effects enter the stack, so they happen. Like, no matter what, they are going to happen. And then, on top of that, the game basically says, you need to get rid of one of these. So then you get rid of one of them, and then you resolve the remove from the destroy target permanent effect. However, there's a couple cards actually, but the most popular one is a card called Sakashima the Imposter. And when he enters the battlefield, he enters as a copy of another creature, but he keeps his own name. So he can be the Reaper King if he wants to.
I feel like this guy isn't banned, but he is definitely a 10 out of 10 in the decks meant to play him. Because he's big, and his effect is kind of insane, because I'm assuming when it says destroy target permanent, you can target your own cards. So it's possible to pop your own cards. And there's probably some way, because it's not a once per turn, for cards to I bet there's a Scarecrow card that you can recur easily, constantly. So you basically just always have a pop. So he's probably pretty damn good, right? I feel like that makes sense.
So you're locking in at a 10?
Yeah. It's either that or this guy is complete fucking dog shit. It's one or the other.
So this was a trick card. I love this card. This is probably one of my favorite cards in the entire game.
Oh wait, you like bad cards, so that's
fuck you. No, I like cards that have a lot of flavor to them, and to me, Reaper King screams flavor. However, there are not a lot of Scarecrows in Magic.
Okay.
And you have to branch into another archetype called Changeling. Changelings are every card type, so they are also technically Scarecrows.
Is it where the Scarecrow thing would be, and it's they have a hidden clause or a subtext on them that's this card mimics everything, so when it's summoned it activates those effects as well?
Yep, pretty much.
That's pretty fucking cool, actually. That's actually a really cool type of card.
You can extend your archetypes of Scarecrows with your Changelings, but the sucky thing is that a lot of Scarecrows are just really bad. And the one that is really good, named the Painter's Servant, which I'll show you a little bit later, is a $60 card. It is more expensive than Reaper King. It is the most expensive Scarecrow.
I mean, at least it's not 700, you know? That's a game, but that's still it's a bit pricey. It's more affordable than some absurd card. Yeah. And at least in Commander you only need one, right? So
yeah. So in there is another card. It's called Pili Pala. It's a Scarecrow.
Oh, I love that name.
A lot of Scarecrows are very weird. So you know how there was the tap symbol?
Yeah.
A lot of Scarecrows have an untap symbol. So you need to have them tapped originally, and then you untap them later. And Pili Pala untaps to give you 1 mana of any color. So it is an infinite card if you manage to tap and untap it.
Cool. I'm guessing there's cards that require you to tap cards and then you can untap them a different way.
Oh yeah, that's actually one of the ways, the most easy engines for getting infinite mana. I believe I tested this. It's either 5 to 7 cards, which is a lot to do an infinite mana combo. If you can do it, you can infinitely bring back Scarecrows and destroy everything. Yeah! You can destroy everything on the field, and including lands.
There was a loop.
Yeah.
I knew there was a way to make a loop. Yes.
That doesn't make Scarecrow King, or sorry, it's Scarecrow King, Reaper King broken. He's not the best, and I want to mention this right now. You did say that he's big. He's a 6/6. That doesn't mean anything unless you can give him trample.
Oh, okay.
Because if he swings and they block with a 1/1, it just the 1/1 dies and that's it. Then nothing else happens. So
it's like hitting a defense position monster in Yu-Gi-Oh! Gotcha.
Yep, basically.
I get it.
And to add insult to injury, just for himself, in Commander, there's a special clause There's so many clauses in Commander, I just realized. If your commander manages to deal 21 combat damage to a player, that player instantly loses the game.
That's really specific.
Yeah, Commander, the history of it, it's originally called EDH, Elder Dragon Highlander, and there were cards in the game that they added called Elder Dragons. All Elder Dragons had 7 power, and when they were making Commander, they were like, well, if a dragon hits you like this many times, it should just outright kill you. And so they decided that 21 is the number of damage you have to deal to kill a player with your commander.
Oh, is it like 21 collective damage? So if
yes, it is 21 collective damage. Yep.
And because this guy's a 6/6, it's basically meaningless because you have to get another attack off.
Yeah, you have to get the 4th attack. So it's not impossible. He can still do it. It's just a little bit harder, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And then you get into issues of like, do you want him to win you the game? Do you want his effect to win you the game? Do you want the rest of your deck to win you the game? And you start to spread yourself too thin on the win cons. So he's fun, and you can make him
really
work.
Greedy.
Yeah, he's super greedy.
that's cool.
All right,
Yeah.
well, that's the first set of 5. So
he is dog shit, right?
No, he's not dog shit. If I was to
he's
give him a power, he's like middling, like he's 5 or 6.
Okay. He's just really hard to play.
Oh, so hard to play. And that's why I want to build him.
It is a cool... I love... It's harvest time.
Yes. He's so fucking cool.